Hello there, people of the internet. How's everybody doing today? I'm doing alright, thanks for asking. So I have a friend of mine who bounces around from California, New York, a couple of other places, but they actually live here in the state of Florida. And whenever I was talking to them, they said, well, apparently they have family that lives here in New York and in California and somewhere else, I can't remember where, but they said that they need a good defensive rifle to keep in the household at their other places that they go to besides Florida. Here in Florida, we don't have any bans on some of the things that these other states are trying to ban or have banned, or insert XYZ situation here. And there might be some legislation down the road that gets rid of these bans, but as of right now, those bans are definitely still in place. But whenever my friend was asking me, they were like, hey, I need a good viable platform to be able to run in these places, and they said that the AR platform wasn't it. They don't like the things that they have to do for the AR platform in order to be able to own an AR platform down there, and I don't blame them. So if you can't get your hands on one of these, something like this, for defensive purposes and some of these other places, here are some good opportunities and some good options on some other things that you could probably get your hands on in order to use. First off, if you are in one of these other places and you can't own an AR, or maybe you're just the type of person that you don't want to own an AR for defensive purposes, what is it that you do own? So I'm going to go ahead and address that real quick. One of the better options that I say for people that cannot own an AR, who also, well, there's a lot of people out there who just want to steer away from semi-automatics altogether, and I can understand that to an extent. Semi-automatics, if you don't know what you're doing, they can be scary, especially if you don't have somebody who can show you, how to properly use and utilize one of those. Once you learn how to use them and learn that they're really not as terrifying as people make them out to be, then that's definitely a good way to go. But some people out there are just so set in their ways about avoiding automatic platforms. Yeah, you do you, I'm going to do me, whatever it is that you decide to use for your defensive purposes. I don't really care. So there's two options that I really lean towards whenever it comes to using non-automatic platforms. That is lever actions for defensive purposes, and military surplus bolt-action rifles for defensive purposes. I wouldn't recommend using either of these for an actual situation, especially if your adversary is armed with modern automatic equipment and they know how to use it really well. But if you are set in your ways and that is what you want, then by all means, like I said, you do you. I don't care what you do, as long as it doesn't stop me from doing the things that I want to do. The one real downside to lever actions is the speed of reloading. If you have yourself a tube-fed magazine, reloading that one shell at a time, that is definitely not an ideal situation. Is there something alive in here? Get down in there. But that's not an ideal situation. There are lever actions out there that do take magazines, but these magazines still tend to hold 5 to maybe 10 rounds of ammunition. There are some, there is a company out there trying to make a AR-style lever action that takes standard AR mags. That would be a viable option if it worked properly. Once it hits the market, probably going to have some teething issues. I guess that's the word I'm looking for. So until that is mass-produced on the market and in the hands of regular people, I'm not really going to count that until it's available and reliable and has some time and tested, proven well and whatnot. It has been checked out, but checking out a prototype one-off version of the rifle is very different. That rifle's been hand fitted to be able to function properly. That's going to be very different than the result of mass production of that rifle. So I recommend, instead of lever actions, which is very slow to reload, get yourself a Milsert bolt action rifle, unless you are in an area where you have to worry about over penetration. If that's the case, then like a pistol caliber lever action might be your best way to go. If you have, I don't know, some Joe Blow breaking into your house, 38 specials from a 357 lever action might be the best option, especially if those 38 specials are hollow point, because you won't have to worry about over penetration if you're inside of a apartment complex or a packed city or something like that. Whereas this right here you would definitely have to worry about some over penetration. So if over penetration is not an issue, I recommend going with the more powerful rifle cartridge. Now, the reason why I recommend Milsurp rifles specifically, as opposed to like a hunting rifle or something like that, first off, you have iron sights as opposed to just relying on a, scope of some kind. Not only that, but the speed of reloading. On a hunting rifle, you get your one magazine. Maybe you can get yourself more magazines. If that's the case, that might be more viable for you. Like I said, you do you if that's the route that you want to take. But most of your people with hunting rifles are going to have the one magazine. It's going to hold 4 or 5 rounds because it's a hunting rifle. And in order to reload that thing, you're going to have to pull the magazine out, load those rounds into that magazine individually, one round at a time. Whereas something like a Milsurp rifle, you can load this thing with stripper clips. I thought I had a full stripper clip here. I do not, so I have 3 rounds. Normally this would hold 5 rounds, but you throw your stripper clip right there into the stripper clip guide, and you send your rounds into the magazine. So if you are out there and you're fighting and you go, whatever it is you're dealing with, whether it's gangbangers or home invasion or alien invasion or zombies or insert your poison here, you go bang, and now you're out of ammo. You feel your bolt lock open. You're like, oh crap, just grab your rounds. Normally you would have, like I said, 5 rounds. Grab your rounds, stuff them into your magazine, and now you are good to continue running your ammunition. That is a very fast way to reload. Where'd my stripper clip go? A very fast way to reload in comparison to the one single round at a time loaded into a magazine of a hunting rifle or a tube-fed magazine in a lever action. Man, that clip disappeared. But after you have your rounds loaded up, unlocking automatic platform with something like this, you have to cycle that bolt every single time that you pull the trigger. And although it is a nice, powerful round, it's not the most effective round if your adversary is sending more lead your way. So now I'm out of ammunition. If I had another clip out here, then I'd be able to send more ammunition into this thing. This is probably the best alternative for people who want to steer away from automatics. That being said, if you want a good alternative to the AR platform and you're not shy of automatics, I recommend this right here. This is a Ruger Mini 14, and it is also chambered in 223 5.56. This one I think has a either 1 in 10 twist barrel or a 1 in 7 twist barrel, but either way, it's still going to be able to handle 55 grain projectiles, and that's mostly what people are going to buy. They might pick up some 62 grain projectiles if they want to go the 5.56 route, but that tends to be a little bit more on the expensive side, so people tend to lean towards the 55 grain projectiles. But depending on your area, I got me just a standard capacity magazine inside of this thing. The magazines are so similar that a lot of these mags are actually set up to be able to run in both the AR platform or the Mini 14 platform. In this particular case, this one is not. This is a Mini 14 only, but the Mini 14 is an external mag-fed semi-automatic platform, and I don't think that in these banned states you can have a flash hider like this, despite the fact that it doesn't make the gun any more dangerous. And I don't think that you can have a bayonet lug on it, despite the fact that, you can still own knives and whatnot. Besides that, this particular one does not have any telescoping stock or fixed stock or pistol grips or anything like that. So if you get yourself a featureless version of this rifle, it would be a very capable platform, just as capable as the AR platform, with the exception of optics mounts on this thing. So if you don't care about mounting optics, then you can still send 223 5.56 lead downrange very effectively with your semi-automatic platform. The one thing that I don't like about this thing is that the magazines are a little bit more on the finicky side to reload with your Mini 14, because they're rock and lock magazines as opposed to your AR platform. But if you can't own the AR platform, or you don't want to, this right here is a very good alternative. course, if 223 is not your niche and you don't care for the Mini 14, you could go out and get yourself a surplus SKS. This is also an automatic platform, chambered in 7.62 by 39, which is a very capable round out to about 400 yards for the average Joe. And there are some people who can run this very effectively out beyond that. If you're one of those people, congratulations. I am not. But with this right here, this feeds via stripper clips, much like your Mauser bolt-action rifle, like I had just shown you guys. I don't have stripper clips out here with me. I just have ammunition loaded directly inside of this magazine. There are aftermarket magazines that you could get for this thing to increase capacity. If you're in an area that is limited to 10 rounds, then go ahead and keep your regular magazine that you have inside of this thing that came stock with the gun, because your aftermarket mags are insanely unreliable. So if you do using aftermarket mag on your SKS, run it, make sure it's going to work, because like I said, those tend to be insanely reliable. But 10 rounds, semi-automatic. These right here do take a little while longer to load than something like the AR platform, simply because you do have to load via stripper clips. So if I take this and I cycle this through, send lead down range, this too is an automatic platform, just like all the other ones. Now recoil's a little more because the power of the cartridge is going to be a little bit more. So follow-up shots, not quite as good. I find that the accuracy on this is also not quite as good with my particular eyesight. I just don't do well with leaf sights that are forward of the receiver. The Mini 14 has an aperture sight on the rear of the receiver, which is right in front of my blind eye. So as a result, I can just rock the aperture sights of the Mini 14 more accurately than the leaf sights of the SKS. So those are some good options and alternatives if you don't want to or cannot rock just a regular common fighting rifle. If you want to get yourself something more modern, I'm pretty sure that there's pistol caliber carbines like this right here. If you don't want to use a full power or an intermediate caliber cartridge, maybe over penetration is an issue for you. I'm pretty sure that some of these out there are California compliant. This is a high point carbine, very inexpensive PCC option. And like I said, I'm pretty sure I've seen some out there that are California compliant and they don't have a bunch of features and whatnot on them. And you got yourself your magazine with your X amount of rounds, depending on the magazine that you're using. Put it in, charge your charging handle, and go to town. This right here locked open because my magazine is empty. But yeah, there's also a good alternative if you don't want an AR platform. However, if you don't want an AR platform, odds are it's because it's scary and tactical looking and doesn't have wood on it. So maybe something like this wouldn't really be the way to go. Maybe you would want something more like a Ruger Homesteader or something like that. So thanks for watching, folks. I appreciate your time. Hopefully you guys learned something in this video, question mark, or maybe I helped confirm some assumptions or affirmations that you guys might have. So thanks for watching. Appreciate your time. Like, subscribe, share. Description below has a link to all sorts of stuff. Go and go check that out. You guys go off, have yourself a fantastic day. I'll see you all in the next episode. Since I've done this. Bonnie and Clyde be damned. Poor man's Garrett. It's a shame that bolt-action shotguns aren't more mainstream.